Well, good morning, everybody. It is a pleasure to be with you here today, this morning, in the community of Alta Vista. I'm joined by an all-star cast of folks who are helping to move this city and this region forward, starting with our Congressmember, Sara, who represents the 53rd District in the U.S. House of Representatives, City Council Member and Chair of our Public Safety Committee, Montgomery, Steppe, who represents Council District 4, Tricia Long, who is an emerging leader here in the Alta Vista community and the larger Choice View Planning Group. And with us also are some pretty incredible city leaders, Chris McFadden and Jean Matter with our city's Transportation and Stormwater Department, as well as our city engineer himself, the Director of Engineering and Capital Projects, my friend James Nagelvort. I want to just pause at this moment and just express my appreciation to Transportation and Stormwater, as well as Engineering and Capital Projects. These are the folks that do all kinds of work, from road repair, sidewalk repair, major facility construction, maintenance, so on and so forth. A lot of difficult, complex work, and they do it extremely well. I appreciate you guys and all your teams collectively. Thank you. So we are here this morning to talk about streets, sexy streets. I started calling them sexy streets a number of years ago when I kept hearing people say over and over again that infrastructure isn't sexy. And that's really just kind of code for saying it's not a priority. It's not important. And whether it's Congressmember, the council member, or myself, I can tell you literally every day of my life is spent discussing infrastructure with San Diegans. Their frustration with the poor state of our roads, our crumbling sidewalks, our city facilities, list goes on and on. And that diminishment, that sort of suggestion that this is not a priority, that it's not important, is often reflected in budgets and the way that we handle these issues. It's very clear to me that San Diegans want us to prioritize infrastructure. They want us to fix our roads, and by doing so, we can make our neighborhoods more attractive. I dare say more sexy. Now, I may feel that way. Granted, I don't get out a whole lot, but I think that I am channeling what is the general feeling of San Diegans. And I think that's particularly true for communities like this one, because some communities here in San Diego for too long have not gotten their fair share of the dollars that we make for infrastructure, that we make available for infrastructure investment. Many of those communities are here in Council District 4. And I ask everyone, take a look at the street that we're standing on today. This does not meet my expectations of what our city should have. The people of this community deserve better, and we know that this street is representative of many streets across this neighborhood, across this council district, and sadly across this city. So what are we going to do about it? Well, the good news is that this street, 58th Street, and Division, just behind me, are headed towards getting repaved here in 2022 with enhanced crosswalks to go with them. That's an example of what's to come. And in April, I announced my first proposed city budget for the coming fiscal year that starts on July the 1st. This budget includes more than $130 million for road repair projects throughout the city of San Diego. This includes $40 million in a new program dedicated to street and roads and communities of concern, like this one. Communities in Council Districts 8, 9, and 4, communities like City Heights, San Ysidro, Mountain View, Barrio Logan, Lincoln Park, and right across the street in Division and the community of Encanto. When it comes to choosing which projects receive funding, this will no longer be a top-down decision. I'm asking for my partners in governing in Council Districts 4, 8, and 9 to go out into the communities and let us know the kinds of projects that work best for the people that live in those communities. In the past, street repair work was pretty basic. It was a slurry seal here, an overlay there, or a reconstruction when necessary. Little thought was put behind whether there was anything else the city could do to make that community, that road, easier or safer when you're driving, you're walking, or you're biking in that neighborhood. Going forward, when we repair a street, we're going to ask, what else can the city do to be of help? New bike lanes, a better crosswalk, a better sidewalk. Do we need curbs and gutters, streetlights, improved crosswalks? Again, we are going to take a more holistic approach at our infrastructure investments here in San Diego. And that's how we'll end up with something that is more generally known as a complete street. Whether it's sexy or it's complete, either way, it's going to be better than what we've been delivering for too long now. It's about increasing options for how San Diegans get around our city. It's about improving the quality of life in our communities. And importantly, it's about making these communities more sustainable for generations to come. As we make communities easier to walk around and bike around, you can see how we can start meeting some of our climate action plan goals. So again, whether it's a complete street, a sexy street, we're on our path to making sure that San Diego is doing its part to address the existential threat of climate change. So to hear from some of the other speakers this morning, it gives me great pleasure to remind us all that in 2020, we elected a champion from the broader fight against climate change, and that was Congressmember Sara Jacobs. It's thanks to Congresswoman Jacobs and other members of San Diego's congressional delegation that we have the resources to fund this new streets program. They all supported President Biden's American Rescue Plan, which is allowing the city to protect neighborhood services that San Diegans expect and deserve while launching new initiatives like this one that advance social equity in communities of concern. Congressmember Jacobs, I cannot thank you enough for your support of the American Rescue Plan and for what you and the president and our congressional delegation have done. Opportunities like today really help give people a sense that we're going to build back better, and that starts with your leadership. So I appreciate you, and I ask you to come up and give a few words.
Well, thank you. I'm excited to be here with Mayor Gloria, Councilmember Montgomery Steppe, Community Member Tricia Yalong, Harley, most importantly, and with all of you. And I'm excited that because of the American Rescue Plan, the city of San Diego is able to fix these streets. The American Rescue Plan, which I was proud to work with my colleagues on and proud to vote for, included hundreds of millions of dollars for the city of San Diego. We've been through a very tough year. And the fact of the matter is the people of San Diego just want things to work. They want a great place to live. They want economic opportunity and justice. And as we're talking about here today, they want and deserve quality local infrastructure. And the last year has also shown us that we get the best outcomes when our federal, state, and local leaders are all pulling in the same direction. That's why it was so important that we were able to get funding for local governments, large and small, in the American Rescue Plan, and we're already seeing it make a difference. But we aren't done yet. And that's why my colleagues and I are working to make sure that the mayor and the city council get support with the American Jobs Plan and the American Families Plan to ensure that we continue making the needed investments in our infrastructure to be able to build back better. Because we know that the only way we'll get an equitable recovery from this pandemic is to make sure that we're getting resources to the communities who need it most in the ways they need it most. Most people don't know what the different levels of government do. I get a lot of phone calls about things about streets and sidewalks, which are out of my jurisdiction. I'm sure you both get things that are really my issues. And people just see government. And so to rebuild trust in our institutions, we have to show them that government can work and that government can solve the problems that they're facing. And projects like this that people are going to feel so concretely are exactly the kind of projects that will help us do that. So I'm looking forward to continuing to work with the mayor and the city council to deliver for San Diegans. And now it is my pleasure to introduce the community's council member, Councilmember Monica Montgomery Steppe.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mayor Gloria and Congresswoman Jacobs, for being here in the 4th Council District to make this important announcement. As the Congresswoman mentioned, I'm Councilmember Monica Montgomery Steppe, and this is my district. This is my community. I chair the Committee on Public Safety and Livable Neighborhoods, and I sit on the Active Transportation and Infrastructure Committee at City Hall. With a lens on equity, public safety and infrastructure investment have been cornerstones of my goals-based model of governance. When we talk about investing $40 million in communities of concern, what we are really talking about is intentionality. The San Diego region is at the crux of transforming the way we get to our jobs, our homes, our favorite restaurants. And this year we will see the expansion of the MTS trolley line to UCSD, where we can take one trolley ride from the border to our beaches. While we continue to make investment into larger transportation modes like our trolley, the conversation must include our streets and our sidewalks. It must include our neighborhood infrastructure. Our city streets and sidewalks should accommodate all forms of mobility to be safe for everyone, from wheelchairs to bikes to baby strollers, during all times of the day. For far too long, we have seen the devastating impacts of intentional disinvestment in our communities, in our streets, our sidewalks, especially in Districts 4, 8, and 9. including unlit sidewalks, high traffic-related fatalities, and unpaved roads. We are living with the results of having decades of taxation without true representation, and representation matters. We are standing in our Alta Vista neighborhood, and it is really an honor for me to represent this community on the San Diego City Council. The hardworking, deserving people living in these homes have advocated for many years to see Division Street and its intersecting streets get this type of investment. We are deserving of sidewalks to use as we walk for wellness and for parents to safely push strollers. We are deserving of safe streets to ride our bikes on, especially for our children. We are deserving of multimodal access to quality transportation. This, to me, is Government 101. These are the very basics that we should provide as elected officials. Safe streets to ride on, parks for our children to play, clean water to drink, and modernized libraries to cultivate learning. We have normalized and become comfortable with characterizing our communities in deficit terms. In reality, the word underserved equates to a lack of access to resources. This has been by design. This has been intentional. But today, Mayor Gloria has unveiled a budget proposal to invest $40 million, which is a crucial step in amplifying the voices of many local community activists, advocates, and allies in the movement to have an equitable democracy. This is truly an important step, and I'm grateful to stand before you to announce it in my district. We have years of systemic and institutionalized racism to dismantle, including the way we have chosen to spend money in this city and in our Black and brown communities. As I have been saying from day one at City Hall, these are also matters of the heart. I look forward to working with everyone here today as we continue our efforts to address the disparate treatment of our communities of concern. And I would like to take the time to thank the community for being here today. With that, speaking of community, let me introduce Tricia Yalong, who lives here in our Alta Vista neighborhood. Thank you so much.
Good morning. I'm Tricia Yalong, a native of San Diego, and I was raised right here in District 4. A few years ago, my fiance and I bought our home in this neighborhood of Alta Vista. As working professionals, we could have chosen anywhere in San Diego, but we chose to be here. In 2020, this neighborhood was statistically one of the safest in San Diego. Some of what Alta Vista strives for is to have community outdoor spaces, keeping property values strong, inclusivity, great schools, and for the residents to be truly invested in the neighborhood. If you notice, my community's wishes are probably the same in every neighborhood. But in the past, District 4 and Alta Vista have historically been left out when it came to improving infrastructure. Having complete streets is a move forward for us. Every day, my fiance and I walk our dog, Harley, around these streets, and we've had the pleasure of getting to know our neighbors. We share plant clippings, we break bread together, and we really look out for each other's safety and well-being. We're able to build a vibrant community with what little that we have. Imagine if we were given just a little bit more. My neighbors and I deserve what complete streets could bring, such as walkability, safety, and access to resources. Complete streets will only enhance and improve upon the sense of community that is already here. Like I said, my fiance and I could have chosen anywhere in San Diego, but we chose to be here because we are so proud of where we came from. In fact, ask anyone around here, you'll find how much pride we have. Right, Councilmember? Down here in the southeastern region, we have diverse cultures, friendly neighbors, and generations of family who love this little corner of San Diego. Complete Streets is the beginning of showing the rest of San Diego what our community has to offer. So thank you. Thank you, Mayor Gloria. Thank you, Congressmember Jacobs. Thank you, Councilmember Montgomery Steppe. Thank you.
Thank you, Tricia. Thank you, Harley. That's a very well-behaved dog. That is mayor approved, everybody. I want to just wrap up by thanking Tricia and the residents of Alta Vista for letting us come into your neighborhood today. You know, what I see are beautiful homes, well-maintained by hardworking people, and it's time the city matches your commitment. A beautiful home like this, in front of a road like this, shows that we're not doing our part. We need to start doing more. And this budget proposal, this effort to enhance streets in this neighborhood, making them more complete, make them safer, is really an attempt to try and show hardworking people that we see you and we're going to invest in your neighborhood. And so going forward, working with council districts 4, 8, and 9, making sure that that bottom-up approach that we talked about of really sourcing from the community where the improvements need to go, asking what more we can do, not simply just coming out here and throwing some oil down on the street, but going further and building pedestrian and bicycle safety, that will really show a city that is working together, that really works for all of us. That's, of course, our goal. Again, I can't underline the fact that none of this would be possible without the leadership of Congresswoman Sara Jacobs and her colleagues in Congress that helped actually bring the funding here. Absent her support and leadership, we'd be talking about what roads we were not going to do this year. We'd be talking about what libraries we were not going to be able to have open, which city employees we're going to have to let go. We have the opportunity, really a once-in-a-generation opportunity, to make smart investments, and we're doing it the way Councilmember Montgomery Steppe mentioned, in a way that really looks at it from an equitable standpoint. Where have we been missing for decades and decades, and how can we start changing that? That's what this is about today. I appreciate you all being here today, and I ask all of you as you do your coverage tonight, don't ever say infrastructure isn't sexy. Don't say that people don't care about this issue. I have the Get It Done app requests, thousands of them, saying that people care a lot about this issue. And what we're saying is that we care too, and we're going to do better going forward. Thank you all for being here, and happy to take questions one-on-one, get you out of the street and get you into some safety. This ain't a complete street yet, so we got some work to do. Thank you all very much.